What's going on, everybody? I got another tech-related video for you. Today we're going to be talking about how to clean all of this stuff out of the water blocks. And this includes GPU water blocks and CPU water blocks. Stay tuned. Alright, so here in my hand I've got my 970, which is liquid cooled obviously, with the EK water block and the corresponding backplate. I've been running the Thermaltake C1000 coolant in here, and Science Studio did a video on it messing up his blocks. And you'll notice that I have some staining and some buildup of the opaque coolant in here. Now when this was in my system, this didn't impact cooling performance at all. So my temperatures were the same as they were the day I put this together. So nothing changed, even though it looks like it's, messed up and gummed up. This will easily clean right out. We're going to go ahead and I'll show you guys how to do this, and this also applies to the CPU block. And you're probably wondering, well, if this is here, well, what's in the computer? Well, the computer's got a 1080, and then I also updated my battle station. I have 2 HP Spectre monitors now that are part of the assembly, and a nice VESA stand to hold both the screens. So there you go. We're going to go into the overhead. We're going to dive in. I'll show you guys how to do all this. All right. So here's what you're going to need. You're going to need your block, just a toothbrush. This is a kind of dirty one, but don't worry, we'll clean this. Toothbrush, distilled water, your Allen key that came with the block, so you can take these screws out, and we're just going to go ahead and dive right in. So first things first, what you're going to want to do is take all of these screws out. Don't take the screws off the back plate. You want to take all these screws on the face of this completely out. Now sometimes what you'll have to do for these blocks is you'll actually have to disassemble both sides and take the nickel and go wash it underneath hot water or warm water, but I don't think we're going to need to go that far. Now a little bit of backstory, this graphics card was in the computer for about a year. Yeah, give or take about a year. So I mean, it's not a brand new card. It's a 970. Still a great card, but yeah, I wasn't running it for super long. Actually, I take that back. It's been in the computer for a while, but with the block on it, it's been about a year. And thankfully, on the EK blocks, I can't speak for all blocks, but on the EK blocks, all these Allens are the same screw, so you don't have to worry about mismatching any of your tools, or mismatching any of the screws when you go to put it all back together. So you can see here, there's still some fluid in the block. So just keep that in mind when we go to open it, that there will be coolant. And this opaque coolant stains. So the other thing you're going to need is a towel of some description. Now I did not distill flush this when I took it out of the system because I was going to be doing this cleaning video, and I wanted it to be kind of the worst imaginable situation as far as built up stuff in it, and really show you guys how to do all this. Now one thing you do not want to use on this acrylic face and block, so you do not want to use alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol can damage this acrylic, so you really don't want to use that. Okay, this lifts right off along with the O-ring. So first things first, to keep everything simple, I'm going to go ahead and very gently clean the gasket. Okay, and you're going to want to take note of how this went on. It's not very hard because it will be a little deformed, and there is a channel for you to follow, so you just want to set that aside, make sure it's not twisted. Okay, and then we're going to take our block, and we're just going to go ahead and wipe this up. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some distilled water. Okay, I'll take my toothbrush and get in these channels down here. Scrub away. Now, if I really wanted to get anal, I could actually take the terminal off and clean in the terminal, but we're not doing that. We're just doing the actual block cleaning itself. Okay, now that my toothbrush looks like it belongs to a Smurf, let's go ahead and start drying this out. All I'm doing is just cleaning in all these little channels, make sure I get as much of this blue coolant and dye out as possible. Now if you really want to get OCD, we can use these Tech cotton swabs here. and get along all the edges in here. See how I'm doing that? Just getting in there. And that's just if you really want to get OCD. But this block's going into storage, so it doesn't need to be perfect. The other thing is you want to make sure that you keep the surface that the O-ring binds to, that it rests on. You want to make sure that that's free from any lint or any particle, otherwise the block can leak, and we really don't want a leaky block. So I would say that that is now nice and clean. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. It is a little bit stained, but it's not that bad. All right, now remember, this is distilled water, so it's non-conductive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the jet plate off. Take the jet plate off. Give that just a little scrub. Come in here into the fins on the block. Scrub those out. Clean out the O-ring channel as well. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh man, that seems like you're getting reckless there with the water. Well, again, it's distilled, so it's pretty non-conductive. I'm not going to say it's not fully non-conductive because it has, you know, the coolant's been in the system for a little bit. All right, now when drawing the block, you don't want to go overboard, you know, scrubbing away on the fins because you can bend them. So I found that the best way to do it is just to follow the line right there. And then again, before you put this into your system, what you're going to want to do is flush this whole thing with distilled water, actually active in the pump. You know, flush your loop to get anything that's in here out. And just follow the O-ring channel, get any particulate out that was settled in there from the coolant. Because these opaque coolants tend to do weird things like this. Even regular coolant, the dye will fall out. Or if you have tubing that's not a recommended tubing, it can leach plasticizer into your material, into the block. And that actually gums up these fins really badly. We don't want that. All right. And now what we want to do to get the last little pieces of fiber out of the jet plate, or out of the fins, just rub your finger over them gently. Inspect it, make sure it looks clean. That looks pretty clean to me. Oop, a little bit of coolant there. I can't see from my angle because you have to remember I'm trying to talk and keep this in a position for everybody to view it. Now the only reason I'm going this far and actually, you know, blowing it out is because this card isn't going to a home. It's just going to be in storage for now. Yeah, that's why we're doing that. Okay. And since I disturbed everything, let's go ahead and go through the O-ring channel one more time. There we go. Just like that. I don't know about you, but that looks pretty clean to me. So now what you want to do is you want to take your O-ring, guide this back on into place. There. So what you want to look for in this is you want to make sure that everything is lined up. All right, first things first, you want to drop your Allen screw and make you go searching for it for quite some time. Now before we start going crazy and start tightening these down, you want to kind of be strategic, excuse me, and have them in key spots so that we know where everything's lining up, making sure that everything's indexed. So what I like to do is I like to do one here, one here, one here, and start with the 3, and then inspect it, make sure that the O-ring is seated, and you can tell where it's touching because it'll get darker. So that is seated. So now we can actually start tightening these down. Now you'll notice that the black, I don't know if the camera will catch that very well, but the black on the O-ring is now more prominently visible than it is over on this side. And what you want to do is you actually want to start tightening these down in a, not a torquing, not like you would do on a wheel, on a torque pattern, because you're dealing with an O-ring here. What you want to do is you want to get them going and get them started, but the actual torquing on them to get them nice and tight, you want to work your way around the block following the O-ring line. And the reason for this is if the O-ring needs to shrink or if the O-ring needs to move in the channel, this will allow it to move without rolling over or pinching on itself and just shearing it. Although I'm sure somebody out there will be like, no, you can tighten it however you want. I'm sure that there wouldn't be a problem doing that. It's just this is the way that I've done it in the past with different graphics cards and different blocks, and this seems to be the most surefire way. So I'm not torquing these down, I'm just getting them finger tight. And plus, doing it in a circular pattern makes it so it's easier to tell what you've already done and what you haven't done. So this is where I started, so that's one. So we're going to go counterclockwise here. Go ahead and tighten that one down. And these aren't being Gorilla tighted. You don't want to crack the acrylic, so these are just being snugged down nice and snug onto the block itself. Alright, and then check where I started to make sure that they're all the same. They are, in fact, all the same. And that's it. That is how you clean your water block. Now, you notice that there's still some staining up here. I didn't clean that, and then most of this will just come out with the distilled flush. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and back flush this real fast and call it a day. Alright, that's going to do it. That's how you clean your water blocks. It's real straightforward. Just take your time, be careful. You know, don't force anything. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys found this video useful or informative, or you like what you saw, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you really loved it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, I'll see you guys later. Thank you and have a great day.